Welcome to another episode of the Jampack Report, today for February the 10th of 2021. Of course, my name is Samuel Adams, and this is a daily gaming news podcast meant to bring you the hottest news you need to know from around the industry. Hosted on YouTube and podcast services around the world 5 days a week, it's your one-stop shop for everything you need to know. So if you enjoy the show and you like what you see, hit that subscribe button and keep coming back for more. But today's show kicks off on a very unfortunate note because Projekt Red has been victimized in a cyber attack that has snagged some very significant data for the company. They take to Twitter to make the announcement saying, quote, "Yesterday, we discovered that we have become the victim of a targeted cyber attack due to which some of our internal systems have been compromised. An unidentified actor gained unauthorized access to our internal network, collected certain data belonging to CD Projekt Capital Group, and left a ransom note, the content of which we released to the public. Although some devices in our network have been encrypted, our backups remain intact. We have already secured our IT infrastructure and have begun restoring the data. We will not give in to the demands nor negotiate with the actor, being aware that this may eventually lead to the release of the compromised data. We are taking necessary steps to mitigate the consequences of such a release, in particular by approaching any parties that may be affected due to the breach. We are still investigating the incident, however at this time we can confirm that, to our best knowledge, the compromised systems did not contain any personal data of our players or users of our services. We have already approached the relevant authorities, including law enforcement and the president of the Personal Data Protection Office, as well as IT forensic specialists, and we will closely cooperate with them in order to fully investigate this incident," end quote. Now on top of that, CD Projekt also released the ransom note itself, and it says, quote, "Hello CD Projekt, you have been epically pwned. We have dumped full copies of the source codes from your Perforce server for Cyberpunk 2077, Witcher 3, Gwent, and the unreleased version of Witcher 3. We have also dumped all of your documents relating to accounting, administration, legal, HR, investor relations, and more. Also, we have encrypted all of your servers, but we understand that you can most likely recover from backups. If we will not come to an agreement, then your source codes will be sold or leaked online, and your documents will be sent to our contacts in gaming journalism. Your public image will go down the shitter even more, and people will see how shitty your company functions." That's a direct quote. "Investors will lose trust in your company and the stock will dive even lower. You have 48 hours to contact us," end quote. Very poorly written ransom note in my opinion, but you have to, number one, acknowledge this is bad, and I understand that public sentiment for CD Projekt Red, specifically after the launch of Cyberpunk 2077, has been significantly lower as compared to when it was before the CD Projekt Red release of Cyberpunk 2077. The company has not had a good run of it in the public image over the course of the past 6 months or so. It has been quite the rocky up and down roller coaster. But that's no reason to make this kind of move. That's no reason to leak code that hundreds of developers have poured their hearts and souls into over the course of the past 10 years. That is livelihood. That is passion. That is why someone gets up and goes to work every day. You can't simply do this. This isn't right. And I understand, again, the frustrations surrounding Cyberpunk 2077. I understand that some people feel duped by the company itself, but that's no reason to do this. This is just completely and totally wrong. There's never any kind of level where this is considered acceptable. And on top of that, the sensitive data from the HR perspective is also very impactful to the people that are within the organization. There are so many innocent bystanders that have the potential to get hurt from this kind of leak that it certainly isn't a good leak. There's nothing positive about this entire story. So I feel very bad for the team at CD Projekt. This is not, I'm sure, what they wanted to start off their week with, but hopefully they can recover, and hopefully whoever performed this cyber attack will come to their senses and realize this is very, very wrong. But anybody who took the time to write this monstrosity probably does not have any kind of sense of right and wrong. But that's just my 2 cents on that one. So my heart goes out to the people that are impacted by this. And of course, again, I understand that CD Projekt Red released a broken and unfinished game, and they've said that themselves. I understand that the patches, while have helped the game itself, might not have met fans' expectations. I get that as well. But this is completely and totally unacceptable. But it happened, and so hopefully they will be able to recover in full from this, and no data will be lost in the process. But moving on to another story that broke yesterday, Ubisoft has enjoyed a very, very strong holiday quarter with the most successful report in company history for that specific time frame. The net bookings for the company came in at $1.21 billion, up 120% year over year. Of course, these impressive numbers were driven by Watch Dogs Legion and Assassin's Creed Valhalla headlining the holiday season, alongside the release of next-generation hardware from Sony and Microsoft. Assassin's Creed Valhalla was the most successful game in the franchise history in terms of overall bookings and engagement, but it was not popular enough to dethrone Assassin's Creed 3's 12 million units sold during its launch window. The publisher also narrowed its full-year forecast of bookings between $2.69 billion and $2.76 billion, representing year-over-year growth of 45 to 49% if they do in fact see those numbers through to the end and achieve those very lofty goals. But Ubisoft is continuing to really hit its stride, and I think that they've done a fantastic job. Ubisoft has made a very strong resurgence in the past few years, and while there was a rocky period with Assassin's Creed, specifically during Unity and Syndicate, they've really recovered with the most recent trilogy of Origins, Odyssey, and now Valhalla. I recently dove back into Assassin's Creed Valhalla after finishing the medium, and I am loving it. I'm trying to see this game through, and I'm going to at least finish the campaign, if not, go back and finish a lot of the side content as well. But there's a lot to be proud of over at Ubisoft. Of course, they have a lot of internal issues as well. We've talked about the HR issues and the complaints and the accusations that have been flying behind the scenes, and last year they saw a very, very large shakeup after internal investigations revealed that a lot of the accusations were true. So this is going to be a new company going into 2021. You have a lot of potential, and of course a very big game coming out as well, Far Cry 6, which is slated for release sometime before September 30th of this year, and plenty of other games on the way as well. But that holiday quarter was very, very impressive, and of course Assassin's Creed Valhalla continues to lead the charge, and you can see the original story over here on gamesindustry.biz as well. But one question was brought up during this earnings call: will Ubisoft raise their price of games up to $70? And the answer is, we don't know yet. At least that's what they told people during the call. They say, quote, "In terms of pricing, we have been analyzing the competitive dynamics of the past quarter, and we are still looking at new opportunities, but we have not made any decision yet," Chief Financial Officer Frederick Duggett shared. Of course, Far Cry 6, as I mentioned, is currently up for pre-order, and it is priced at $60. But there are certainly eyes on other areas of the industry, with NBA 2K21 and Black Ops Cold War both having upped their next-gen pricing to $70, and they've seen little to no negative impact from the gaming community. There was a bit of a scuffle whenever this announcement first came out, but people still bought it. I still bought Call of Duty for sure, and I'm sure that millions of people probably bought NBA 2K21's next-gen version as well. So, will they actually raise these prices? It's still yet to be seen, because Microsoft has been very stout. At least for the next year or two, they will not be rising, or I should say raising, the price of their next-gen experiences. Halo Infinite is going to be $60, and that is something that has not changed. Phil Spencer has been very adamant about that because he does take into consideration the cost that it takes to get into gaming in 2021. A $500 console is not cheap, and for a lot of people, they might not play games every day. Even myself, as somebody who has a gaming podcast, there might be a couple of days at a time where I don't have the chance to really sit down and play something. And so to recognize that is very, very powerful. But it's also incredibly tempting to see these companies raise their prices to $70 and get little to no kickback. Why wouldn't you raise your price up $10 if there's not going to be any kind of complaint from the community? But I think that as more companies do come in and raise these prices, you might be seeing the conversation start to kick up in the community as well. But Ubisoft has not decided yet, and the big question is, will they in fact make the move? Speaking of moves though, Steam has come to China officially. It's been brought to the region through a partnership with Perfect World, a Chinese-based MMORPG specialist. Only 41 titles are available today as compared to the 48,000 available on Steam proper due to heavy Chinese regulation. Any title added to the platform has to be approved by the Chinese government before being listed, where it will then be closely monitored. Of course, censored versions of CSGO and Dota 2 were brought to the region in collaboration with Perfect World before, meeting Chinese regulation expectations while still connecting to Steam's servers. This is a very, very big deal because while you might not have as many games available on the platform, there are a very, very, very large number of players in the region that will make this a sizable piece of market share for Steam overall. And I mentioned this on yesterday's episode of the show where we talk about the PlayStation 5 coming to China within the next couple of months. While not every game may be able to be released in the region because of the government restrictions, the fact that some games are going to be released still makes it a worthwhile investment because of how many players are in the region and how many people want a PlayStation 5. And with Steam being a free storefront, you actually have access to, right now, 41 games, but over the next few years, it could go up to a couple of hundred games. That's going to be a significant source of income if people do take to Steam to play their experiences. And so this is, of course, a very sizable investment. It's a play for the future, and it's pretty wise of Valve to try and break into that market, and I know they've been trying to get in there for the past few years. But that censorship is tough. Tencent has experienced this as well with PUBG, and of course, Fortnite has been trying to break into regions around the world, and China has been very, very difficult to penetrate. But Steam is getting in there with the official release in China out now. But to round out today's show, we have some news about a very, very big game for some people coming to Xbox Series X and S as well as PlayStation 5 and Nintendo Switch on March the 12th, and that is Crash Bandicoot 4: It's About Time. This, of course, includes a free upgrade for last-gen owners, and smart delivery is available on Xbox consoles, so if you already own the game on Xbox One, you get the next-gen version on Xbox Series X and S for free, and the same goes for PlayStation 4 players. If you're playing on Sony's last-gen hardware, you get that PS5 version for free. As I mentioned, the game is also coming to the Nintendo Switch on March the 12th, and a PC release is coming to Battle.net later in 2021, but no definitive release date was shared for that specific version of the game. You did see the game come out last October, and it was received very, very well. Toys for Bob actually developed the game, they helped make the Insane trilogy, and so they were given the opportunity to bring a new life back into the franchise, and they did it incredibly well. They really did nail that original old school feel while modernizing the experience for new players, and of course scratching that itch for legacy players as well. So it's cool to see this game coming and getting a next gen upgrade, and on top of that, it's nice to see it coming to the Nintendo Switch, where the Insane trilogy also experienced a pretty big boon, and we will wait for that PC release later in 2021. But that rounds out today's episode of the Jampack Report. If you enjoyed today's show, drop me a like down below and tell me what you think about the Cyberpunk 2077, The Witcher 3 source code leaks, and the attack on CD Projekt Red. Would love to hear your thoughts. On top of that, of course, I would love to see what you have to say about Ubisoft's earnings in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Did you play the game and did you like it? Let me know what you think down below. But until next time, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon, and peace.